Welcome to Better Daily Life, where we are moving forward 1% better every single day. Download the app and supercharge your journey at betterdaily.life. Now it's time to ditch facts and get facts with your host and my dad, Alex Van Houten.
Yeah. What's up, Doc? What's up, Betterment family? This is Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Happy Tuesday. It is Nutrition Tip Tuesday, and today we're going to talk about snacking. So there's an article that came out recently that was talking about how America has become a nation of snackers. And I think it's important for us to talk about snacks because apparently that's a trend in today's world. So first I gotta ask you, are you a snacker? Do you snack? It might be part of your betterment journey to change that habit or to integrate that into a powerful way to bolster your exercise phases and in order to improve your nutrition. Good morning, KT. Thanks for joining me this morning. So snacking, 2017, the snacking industry, because that's a thing. You know, the Doritos and the peanut butter crackers and the chips and the little bags of donuts and even carrots. They're all part of this whole, number. But in 2017, the snacking industry pulled in about $116 billion. In 2022, it was it's projected to be, we're almost to the end of the year here, but it's projected to be $146 billion. That's a $30 billion increase. That's a 30% increase in the amount of money people are spending on snacks. Now, part of that is because the cost of food's gone up, if you haven't noticed or not. But another part of that is because we are slowly shifting the way that we eat. This started about 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, where there was a trend in smaller meals throughout the day. And if you want to call them meals, so like maybe you'd have a small breakfast or maybe you'd skip breakfast altogether. And then you'd grab something in the break room at work at around 9 or 10. And by grab something, I mean it could be a vending machine thing. Somebody could have brought donuts to work. Very, very few and far between is it a veggie tray at 9 a.m., right? And then there's a lunch. Sometimes people work through lunch. Sometimes people snack through lunch. Very few people I know actually sit down to an actual lunch. And then there's the snacking in the evening. And then there's dinner. And then there's the snacking at night. And what happened is a very large portion of the calories that people consume in a day shifted from the 3 square meals a day, as we say. I don't know why we say square. Does anybody know why we say 3 square meals? Like, I could see triangle because it's carbs, fats, and proteins. I could see circle because that's the shape of plates. But I still don't get the square thing. Anyway, if anybody knows why we call them 3 square meals, I would love to know. Our calories shifted from the majority of our calories coming from 3 square meals a day to the majority of our calories in the modern world actually coming from snacks. That's kind of weird when you think about it, because a snack, by definition, is not a meal and not nothing. And so we did this here in my household recently with the summer because, we have 2 small boys. We got a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they run and play and do their thing, and we try to keep up with them, and it's a party all the time. And, the pantry was like a revolving door, I don't know if it's because, hey, we're in between activities here, let's grab a snack. Or, hey, I've burned off all my breakfast and I need something before lunch, I'm going to grab a snack. And so they would ask, we have a rule in our house, you have to ask. I want to know, I don't want you just grabbing whatever out of the pantry and shoveling it in, because little kids aren't really good at regulating their snackiness. And so they'll go to the pantry and they're like, hey, can I have a snack? Like, yeah, you can have a snack. Grab whatever you want. You haven't had anything else today outside of your breakfast. Or I'd be like, hey, that's enough goldfish. How about we grab some fruit or something along those lines, or a carrot, like I started our live chewing on. So I understand this. And in fact, in families with small children, I've said before that their nutrition needs are different from ours. They have very small glycogen stores, and so they run out of glycogen relatively quickly, and they can't eat a whole bunch of food all in one sitting. It's very hard for them to, and so it makes more sense for their body to supplement their meals with carbohydrate snacks primarily throughout the day. And KT, thank you very much. Google says square meals is because meals used to be served on square boards in the olden days. Sweet. Thank you. Yes. I love learning new things. Okay. So we call them square meals because before there were porcelain plates at your local Hobby Lobby. So is it Hobby Lobby? I don't know. Crate and Barrel. I don't know where we buy plates. We haven't bought plates in like a decade. Anyway, so thank you for that. That's why they call them square meals, folks. You heard it here. So the shift in the way we eat has resulted in a burgeoning industry of snacks. And indeed, if you walk into your grocery store and you walk the grocery aisles, you'll see bright colors and shiny packages and wrappers and stuff. Almost half of the grocery store is devoted to snacks. Candy, cookies, chips, prepackaged stuff, right? Now the question is this good for me? Is snacking good for me? Can it be a positive part of a betterment journey? Well, it could be. And as with everything in nutrition, really depends on you and where you're at in life. Let me flesh out a few scenarios here. Imagine you are a very, and maybe this is you, and then you don't have to imagine because it's you. You're a very well-conditioned athlete. You are regularly lifting weights. You're in great cardiovascular shape. You have no pre-existing conditions. Your blood sugar is relatively stable, and you got great sleep last night. Snacking is a wonderful way to make sure that you get all of the nutrients that you need today. And it's a wonderful way to ride the blood sugar roller coaster a bit and promote some recovery from your pretty intense workout. That's one scenario. In that scenario, snacking, maybe some cookies and crackers aren't so bad, right? I actually joked with one of my clients. I'm like, look, you didn't hear it from me. I'm not posting it on the internet, but I'm going to recommend you get some Pop-Tarts in your life. And he's like, you're the coolest trainer I've ever been. and it's because this dude is kicking his butt. He's working like, he's got like a really hard weight workout once in a day, and then he has a high intensity interval training once in a day. He has long form cardiovascular exercise. This guy's doing like 10 hours of exercise a week. I don't recommend that for everybody, but for his body and his goals and the kind of condition he's in, he can do that. And the man is just not going to get enough carbohydrates to fuel that from blueberries. It's just not going to happen. Like, you'd have to spend a fortune in blueberries to get the same amount of carbohydrates that he's going to use as fuel from his food than if he just bought a box of Pop-Tarts. Now, there's probably better simple carbs in the world, but he likes Pop-Tarts. So this works out well, and it's like $2. Cool. Fuel that triathlon, man. So that's him. Now, let's go to the other end of the spectrum. Let's say you're an individual who struggles with fat loss. Your body's really good at holding on to fat. Okay. Now, there are some people who, genetically speaking, that's very true. And if you are that person, you already know it. You don't need a DNA test to tell you that you're very good at holding on to fat. You're like, dang it. Everything I eat goes to my love handles. If you've ever said that in your life, then, well, you struggle. So that said, let's say you're that individual. Let's say you're not in very great cardiovascular condition right now. Let's say that you don't spend 2 or more hours a week weight training. Then continually feeding the body, especially ultra-processed foods, continually feeding the body and snacking all day long is probably a bad nutrition strategy for you, because if you have a hard time letting go of fat, that means that your insulin, one of the things that it means is that your insulin response is high all the time. Insulin is released in our body when we consume food, if everything's working like it's supposed to. And so if you're snacking all day long, you're actually supporting that higher insulin level all day long. And if you're somebody who already struggles with losing fat, then that insulin's staying high all day long because of your snacking habits. And you would do much better to eat less frequently in larger amounts than drip feeding nutrition and therefore drip feeding insulin into the system. If that's you, snacking's a bad strategy for you. And in this article, they're like, is snacking good or bad for you? Well, it depends. Are you eating chips, crackers, and cookies and ultra-processed stuff that are linked to cancer and obesity and diabetes and all the rest? Or are you reaching for a carrot or an apple or insert random food that nobody ever snacks on here? They're like, well, then it would be great, because you're choosing high-quality foods. Like, come on, really? If you call yourself a snacker, is it because you're chewing on carrots regularly? Probably not. Probably not. People who classify themselves as a snacker, if you say, what kind of foods do you snack on? They're like, oh, it's always bad stuff. And by bad stuff, I mean things that aren't really food. Things that are a good source of calories, like Pop-Tarts. My friend over here who's burning thousands of calories a day. Pop-Tarts, man. It's almost impressive how many calories you can fit into a Pop-Tart. Like, look at the label. It's nuts, compared to a carrot. But if that's you, if you're a person who's having a hard time dropping fat, if you're having a hard time because your body's really good at holding on to fats, snacking is not a good strategy for you. Now, there's some people who are in the middle. In the middle people are the people who are, I'm not super bad at burning fat. I'm pretty active, I'm pretty decently cardiovascular conditioned. I'm not 10 hours a week guy over here, but I'm lifting weights about 3 to 5 hours a week. I'm doing 2 bouts of cardio for between 30 minutes and 60 minutes. I'm well conditioned. I would actually classify myself in that middle of the road category. I'm pretty athletic from a conditioning perspective, but I'm certainly not doing 10 hours of hardcore workouts a week. My body would just fall into a mush. My bones would grind to dust. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll try it. Point is, if you're that person, then snacking might be a great strategy for you at certain phases of training. So for me, I will be more snacky, so to speak, during hypertrophy phases of training when I'm trying to grow muscle because I'm asking a high metabolic load of my body on a regular basis and I kind of have to feed the beast. And if I plow a whole bunch of food in my face at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm just going to feel yucky. I'm not going to be able to handle that. So in order to feed the beast, so to speak, snacking is pretty necessary. Now, there are other phases of training, like endurance, for instance, where my workouts they call for less. They call for less fuel. They call for, less volumes of food, and therefore snacking is not a great strategy. In fact, I'll do a little bit of fasting during that particular phase of training. So, is snacking good? Yes or no? I don't like the trend. I don't like it as many things here in Better Daily. I don't like it as a default unconscious thing that you do. I snack all day long. I graze all day long. When I'm walking by the pantry, I can't help but grab stuff from there. When I'm walking by the fridge, I can't help but grab stuff in there. I find myself in the break room eating garbage I don't need to grab. I don't like unconscious nutrition. I think it's very, very bad for us as a culture, as a society, when food is always available and not always at a high quality, things that we want to be building ourselves out of, right? So I don't like that trend, but can it be good for you? Yes or no? I think it can be. I think if you're not in a place where you're having a hard time losing fat, if from a genetic perspective, your body isn't one that just holds on to everything you eat and stuff, snacking can be a great strategy to fuel great activity, great training, great workouts. But on the whole, most snacky foods are garbage. Most of the snacky foods in your grocery store, when you think snack, most of the things that come to mind are garbage. And I think it's important. that we as individuals become more and more aware of what we're eating, more and more conscious of the decisions that we're making. And it's hard to make 9 decisions a day about your food as opposed to, 2 to 4. So that's my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you a snacker? Has it been positive or powerful for you? Or have you had to change your snacking habits in order to achieve better in your life? Let me know in the Better Daily community. Guys, this has been Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, it's just 1%. You got this.
Thank you for joining us for your 1% better. Be you, just better, in mind, body, and spirit. Go to betterdaily.life, download our app, and check out our 5-star coaching resources. We all have a cross to carry. It's lighter when we do it together. Go to betterdaily.life today.